Well, to speak more about this, I'm being joined by my colleague Abhishek Jha live from Samarkand. Abhishek, the Prime Minister has already reached Samarkand. What is on agenda today?
So today there is going to be one restricted meeting which will be with all the SCO permanent member states where India Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be also participating. That meeting will be followed by an open meeting where all the other members like who have been dialogue partner, 4 dialogue partners and 6 observer members, they will also be part of that meeting. Iran will also be part of that meeting. From now on, Iran will become a permanent member. We know that this year Belarus has also applied officially to be a permanent member of SCO. So apart from those member grouping meeting, multilateral meetings, there are other bilateral engagements also of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We know that in the second half of the day, he'll be meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, where both sides will be having a dialogue. Russia has said that they'll be trying to discuss in India-Russia cooperation in the ambit of United Nations and G20, which is scheduled to happen 2 months from now. That meeting will be followed by Prime Minister's bilateral talk with host country's President Shaukat Mirziyoyev. In the evening, Prime Minister Modi also has a plan to meet Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi, and that meeting also holds significance because of the latest surge in the global oil prices and India looking for alternative destination to import crude and other natural gas for its energy security needs, and whether India will start importing more oil and gas from Iran, that will remain a question which may have some discussion during the bilateral talks with the Prime Minister Modi and his Iranian counterpart Ibrahim Raisi.
Well, Abhishek, considering that this is an extremely crucial summit that is being seen, what all are the issues apart from the ones that you mentioned right now which will be addressed by the Prime Minister during the summit?
So we know that the whole idea of SCO has been to increase coordination and people-to-people engagement among member countries. We know that mostly the SCO countries are attached, connected with each other through land boundaries. And specifically in that context, there has been effort to increase trade routes. Most of these countries also fall under the historic Silk Route, and there has been an effort to revive that Silk Route so that the market access could be provided to many of Central Asian countries who have been landlocked. That will be one area of focus. Another area is climate, where India has also been pushing an agenda to for the world powers to increase sharing their technologies and know-how and financing so that the developing countries or the lesser income countries could also join hands in saving the world as long as it is the matter of climate, because essentially not everybody has the financing and the technologies, green technologies that can support their economic needs as well as the climate protection. So this is something that the meeting will also deliberate upon. Other aspect will be the people-to-people engagement, more people-to-people engagement in terms of student exchanges, collaboration in scientific and education area, and how those issues can be better addressed. Those will be agenda. IT, pharmaceutical and other areas of strength that India has. India would like to share its expertise and its scale of manufacturing capabilities with Central Asian countries' needs also. We'll have to see all those components will be highlighted in Prime Minister Modi's address. Another issue has been the concept of radicalization. Last year, when this SCO summit has happened, Afghanistan, it happened in the background of Afghanistan falling into the hands of Taliban. And that time in 2021, Prime Minister Modi had expressed his concern over the possibility of increased radicalism in the area. Down 1 year, Afghanistan is still under Taliban's rule, and this time Taliban has also been invited as an observer member in this SCO summit. So we'll have to see how those concerns of radicalism that existed 1 year ago and the issues of terrorism will be brought up when the leaders will be discussing on the various regional and global issues of importance.
Well, Abhishek, the summit also comes on the background of peculiar international scenarios. So, may it be the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, or may it be the fact that both India and Pakistan will be on the same stage. So, if you could, for our viewers, put this in perspective about how crucial this summit is going to be, especially with the kind of anti-West narrative that is being built up. If you could put all of this in perspective for our viewers, please.
Of course, see, this is interesting to see that the SCO members, the 8 members presently who are the permanent members, they have had many bilateral conflict or differences, if we can say. But however, SCO grouping has maintained in the last several years that the issues of bilateral differences should not hinder the movement on joint efforts on the regional and global issues. And this has been the one area of strength that has continued SCO to survive and flourish in this area, in this era of differences and divided geopolitics. In the context of Russia-Ukraine, there is clearly a overshadow of Russia-Ukraine conflict on the world economy, world geopolitics. In fact, yesterday when President Putin and President Xi Jinping had a meeting, bilateral meeting on the sidelines of SCO, they discussed about those issues when President Putin said that he would try to address some of the concerns raised by the Chinese president. He also thanked or expressed his happiness over the Chinese president's balanced approach, balanced stance on the Ukraine crisis. We know that China has always supported diplomatically Russia on the global platforms, especially in United Nations Security Council. Also, there has been a trade-off of economic trade-off highly going on in between Russia and China. So there's a huge dependence of China on the Russians' arms and ammunition purchasing also. So in that context, Russia-China alignment or their coming out very closely is something that the world is watching very keenly. Talking about India, we have had India has been at a loggerheads with China, with the military standoff going on for months now along a line of actual control. With Pakistan, there has been differences on the issue of terrorism for a very long time. In the recent days, there was some murmuring in the Pakistani section of media about the possibility of opening trade routes with India, especially in the wake of those ravaging flood that has caused scarcity of essential edible commodity in Pakistan. However, when India took its long-standing stand of terrorism and trade cannot go together, there has been a silence from the Pakistani side. There's much of a speculation if Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping, or Prime Minister Modi or Shehbaz Sharif, could also have some bilateral engagement of some level, pull-aside meeting or informal meeting, or some maybe exchange of pleasantries. But we'll have to see how will that happen, because there has not been any confirmation from any side. Russia-Ukraine has been one of the elephant in the room. And when this meeting will happen, it will be impossible to ignore that issue. There has to be some pointers from leaders on the issue as to how this situation has flared up so bad, where the humanitarian crisis has gone out of the hand, and how the way forward could be if Russia-Ukraine crisis is concerned.
Well, Abhishek, thank you for putting that story in perspective for our viewers. We'll keep coming back to you on updates for that. Now it's time for